And before I get to sounding like a typical salty gamer that simply complains about a game, and I want y'all to know, like, up front that, like, I will indeed point out a few flaws that are at least flaws in my opinion, but we are going to at least do our due diligence and follow that up with some solutions. All right? Hey, what it do, what it do, what it do? It's your boy Q, and welcome back to YouTube Explorers. Look, first off, before I get into anything in this video, huge shout out to the team over at Midwinter for the work on Scavengers so far. They've been doing a good job listening to their community and like working fast to address issues, which has been really super cool to see. And before I get to sounding like a typical salty gamer that simply complains about a game, and I want y'all to know, like, up front that, like, I will indeed point out a few flaws that are at least flaws in my opinion, but we are going to at least do our due diligence and follow that up with some solutions. All right? But look, I got to be fair and honest. This is a PvPvE, and I really feel that, like, that first part of it isn't really as encouraged early game as much as I think it should be, which can then result in some really bad feeling late game scenarios for just about everyone involved. Like, look, we've all been there. You're 10 minutes into a game, maybe blue shields if you're lucky, along with a single blue crafted weapon, and there are no tactical stashes left on the map. And like all 20 teams separated solo and no one pushed any other engagement. So like the teams who got the inner spawns on the map are going to be able to basically just gatekeep the teams who are fighting each other while they're trying to come out of the storm, right? Like, we've all been there, right? Now, the recent changes with players dropping the scrap has helped here some, in my personal opinion, and from my experience playing the game so far with the patch. But I gotta be honest, I don't quite think it hits the mark. So check this out. One, let's put aside the fact that like data points are how you place in this game, because usually like your team that ends up winning is going to be the team that's getting a majority of its data points late game based off of the team or several teams that they eliminate. So early game objective pushes on the map really aren't about just the like data points as much as they are about the XP, if that makes sense. Because we all know that you need a good mix of both scrap and XP in order to craft the setup that you want. Now, like whenever you're going into like the tactical stashes around the map, if you collect the scrap in it, like it's going to be a couple hundred scrap, well worth diving into the stash, opening it, even at the risk of completely throwing your PvP engagement, even when like not only at common shields, but uncommon shields, and even at rare shields, you're going to end up coming out net positive on the scrap as long as you have a player on your team that's able to stay alive for 60 seconds. Like, let's be perfectly honest. Even if it's a full team rolling up on a full team over on a tactical stash, like, which rarely happens, even if it's a full team wipe early of like white shields, like 3 players of white shields nets you a whole whopping 225 scrap. Basically the same as hitting a tactical cache, and that's like assuming this whole team stays once somebody goes down and they don't have a cruise that's going to book it at the moment of distress. Otherwise, that's a measly 50 scrap. And while I like the idea of scrap rewards increasing through the game, which are going to reward late game PvP, we also have to take into account not only when these engagements happen, but like also how much is that reward really helping the person that gets it. For example, how often are you running around with a lot of scrap? Maybe you're waiting on your purple weapon, purple armor, or maybe like a signature weapon or something, right? And then you end up running across a full team of blue shields. You get the full team wipe, so 900 scrap. Cool. But now a third party rolls in and you yield another 900 scrap. Are you actually being rewarded for the 2 teams that you just completely eliminated? Because you're probably leaving scrap behind. Right? So like if you're sitting there and you're wondering like why there needs to be more early game PvP, let's take a little trip down memory lane to like the very beginning of early release, where like the big deterring factor as to why people weren't pushing for PvP was because you needed to get extracted off the planet in order to get the salvage that your team collected, which was important for your player's progression through the research system, right? But that's not the case anymore. And actually, Remember how I talked about offering solutions? I think if we were to encourage more PvP by offering bonus salvage based off of eliminations or team wipes, for example, like if a player gets 1 kill, they get an extra piece of salvage. If they get 3 kills, they get a second piece. After 6 kills, a third, or something like that, which is going to reward players for more of the PvP side of things. Again, remember right now the difference between emplacements for a first place team and a fourth place team is a mere 300 experience. Or, I don't know, maybe having something that allows the players to deposit the salvage inside the dropship and having eliminations in the last 2 or 3 minutes drop more salvage, therefore rewarding PvP in the last couple of minutes, instead of basically just encouraging everyone to wait until the last second to push onto the ship. Although, again, to be fair, I'm not really sure that like the no respawn for the entirety of the last 5 minutes was really a healthy change for the game, especially with the state of like the game that it's in now. And as I stated in my initial thoughts of the patch notes, I get why the idea sounded good in theory. It really makes sense when you say it out loud. Once people have the dropship goes down, people aren't respawning, which means that those last gunfights are crucial. But unfortunately, what it's actually done is ended up slowing down gameplay more in the last 5 minutes. It's not encouraging more PvP. In fact, it's encouraging people more to stay hidden and wait for the last minute to try and use like a cruise ability or a Valora bubble to get onto the ship. Honestly, I think if you were to like take it and scale it back to maybe the last like 2.5, 3 minutes, I think that's going to really end up achieving the goal of what the whole point of no respawn in the first place was. I mean, anybody who played in the first like week and a half of launch, we all know how it felt to respawn with the point where you were too far away from the dropship that even if you ran directly to the dropship without running into anybody, you still weren't able to get off the planet, and that was really discouraging. And also, I know we touched on this earlier, but we've got to address the whole fact that a team going through everything, the environment, the players, the storms, after everything in 25 minutes, the only difference between first and fourth place is 300 experience. It doesn't make a win feel very rewarding. Especially when you have right now in the game cool cosmetics and animations that are locked behind very high skill level locks. And while I understand that the recent changes have allowed for players to have some sort of PvE experience in the early rounds, and by the way, I do think that the PvE aspect of the game makes it so that every game feels action-packed from the beginning to the end, in my honest opinion, I think that a very healthy balance of early game PvP incentive is going to help attract a bigger and more consistent player base, which in the long term not only means a W for Scavengers in midwinter, but also a W for all of us explorers as well. So if you're like me and you're enjoying all this time playing Scavengers since it dropped, come kick it with your boy over on Twitch. Link for that's going to be down in the description below. And you can come kick it with the community off stream. We got plenty of people in the Discord who are really getting into Scavengers. Link for that is also going to be down in the description below. Cool. And of course, if you like the content, do me a favor, leave a like and a comment, even if it's just to say hi. That's going to help us out with that good old YouTube algorithm and hopefully get the content in front of more people. And if you're looking for more Scavengers content, not only am I going to leave a playlist at the end for you to check out, which you can do as soon as you hit that subscribe button and turn those notifications on. That way we can catch you back here for the next video. All right. Until next time, though, for real, with everything crazy going on in the world today, be true, be you, be sincere, game hard and love harder. It's your boy Q, signing out.
If you ain't show something, you just don't wanna be. You wanna be me, but you will never be as fresh as see you.